Your helmet smells like plastic and sweat. Under you, 5 F1 engines wait, caged thunder. Houston's voice is calm, but your pulse isn't. You're strapped into a machine that can reach the moon or turn into wreckage at max Q. You swallow hard. This is your life, level by level, inside Apollo 13. Launch into the unknown. Excitement turns to uncertainty. The countdown is a metronome you can't stop hearing. 10, 9. The cabin vibrates before you even move. At ignition, the Saturn V doesn't lift so much as it punches the planet and you with it. Your suit squeezes your ribs. The windows show nothing but glare and a slice of Florida coastline falling away from Kennedy Space Center. You call out instrument needles. You watch the event timer. You ride staging SIC burnout, separation, then the J2s of the second stage settle into a steadier shove. You tell yourself the shuddering is normal. You tell yourself the guidance will smooth it out. You tell yourself the boosters don't care if you're scared. Then the oscillation hits pogo, a hard, rhythmic hammering through the stack. It's not just vibration, it's a threat to the plumbing, the structure, the crew. About 2 minutes early the center J2 cuts off. The acceleration shifts. Numbers change. You reach Earth orbit, but the silence afterward feels like a question nobody wants to ask. You're a coin flipped perfectly, still spinning, still falling, just not yet told which side is up. Tranquility before the storm. A routine procedure triggers disaster. Weightlessness turns every action into a small choreography. You tuck checklists under Velcro. You drink from a bag that tastes faintly of iodine. The hum of fans and the click of switches become your day. Outside, the Earth shrinks into a polished marble, and the spacecraft's slow roll keeps the sunlight from cooking one side. Houston asks for a TV broadcast, so you float into position and point the camera. You narrate the messy elegance of straps, food packets, and equipment stowed like a hardware store in 0G. You tell yourself the public needs normal. You tell yourself routine keeps you sharp. You tell yourself there's nothing you can't handle at 200,000 miles out. Then comes a simple call. Stir the service module cryo tanks. You flip the switch. You expect a motor whir and a tidy pressure readout. Instead, there's a bang, sharp, metallic, wrong, and the caution and warning lights bloom across the panel. The ship feels suddenly huge and fragile. Your voice goes to Houston before your mind catches up. Houston, we've had a problem. In space, even routine is a fuse waiting for a hand. The crisis unfolds. Desperate measures in the void of space. The panel is alive with bad news. O2 pressure drops like sand through fingers. Fuel cells start starving. The voltmeter creeps downward. You float to the window and see it, something bending into blackness, a white stream that shouldn't exist. The service module is bleeding, the thing that keeps you breathing and powering the ship. Houston talks fast now, but still measured. You answer with numbers. Tank pressures, amps, bus voltages. You turn switches, then turn them back when nothing makes sense. You tell yourself it's just an instrument glitch. You tell yourself there's a valve you can close. You tell yourself the command module is built for this. It isn't. The math is brutal. Without oxygen, the fuel cells die. Without fuel cells, the command module becomes a dead shell. So you make the call that feels like betrayal: power down the command module. You begin shutting off lights, heaters, guidance, anything that draws current. Cold starts creeping in. You crawl into the lunar module, your lifeboat, power it up, and listen to it wake like a small animal in the dark. Survival becomes a procedure, and every procedure becomes a countdown you can't see. You've stopped flying to the moon. Now you're flying to stay alive. The next decisions aren't about success. They're about angles, burns, and whether the cold will beat you first. Race against time. Every watt and every breath becomes a calculation. The lunar module's cabin lights look dimmer than they should, like the spacecraft is saving its own strength. Condensation beads on switches and freezes into a gritty film. You taste the air getting stale, metallic, damp, crowded. A nap is a luxury you can't justify. So you drift with your knees tucked, listening to pump cycle and fans you don't dare run too long. Houston feeds you a new religion: power budgets and timelines. You jot numbers on a checklist with a pencil nub: amps, volts, minutes. You wrap yourself in tape and suits and whatever fabric will slow the cold. You tell yourself the shivering is just wasted heat. You tell yourself the fog in your head is just fatigue. You tell yourself the next procedure will buy time. The CO2 gauge creeps up. The round command module canisters don't fit the square lunar module receptacles, so you build an adapter from mission trash. A plastic bag, a cardboard checklist cover, duct tape, a hose. You read each step like scripture, then watch the needle finally fall. You're not piloting a spacecraft anymore, you're hand-feeding a dying machine and calling it flight. Touchdown, the safe return. You bring a frozen command module back to life for one last, precise descent. Before re-entry, you have to wake the command module from near death. It's a freezer now. Switch guards bite your fingertips. The glass on the optics looks hazed. You float in close and smell old electronics warming, that sharp, dusty odor of circuits that haven't been trusted in days. Houston gives you a power-up sequence with no margin, exact breakers, exact order, because the batteries must last through entry. You confirm each step aloud. You watch the guidance platform come alive, then fight for alignment using stars you can barely see through a window filmed with moisture. You tell yourself the computer will accept it. You tell yourself the heat shield held through the explosion you never saw. You tell yourself the service module separation won't turn you into spinning debris. You jettison the lunar module, your shelter, like pushing away the only warm thing you've had. Then comes the burn into atmosphere. Plasma claws the windows. Radio goes dead for minutes that feel like a verdict. When the parachutes finally bloom 3 red and white flowers, you realize survival is just engineering that kept its promises. You carry the mission in small sensations. A warning light blooming, a pencil scraping numbers, breath turning to ice on metal. At every level, the work is the same: listen, decide, conserve, repeat. Space never raises its voice. It just waits for arithmetic to fail. And when you splash down, the ocean feels soft only because you remember what the vacuum felt like.